Danny Parker ran through the tall grass behind his house, chasing a small blue butterfly. The 8-year-old boy laughed as the tiny creature danced just out of reach. New Haven Colony was the only home Danny had ever known, and he loved every inch of it. The morning sun cast long shadows across the settlement. White buildings with curved roofs dotted the landscape, connected by clean paths made of local stone. Gardens full of earth vegetables grew next to alien plants with strange colors. Everything looked peaceful and safe. Danny's mother, Dr. Lisa Parker, worked in the science lab studying the planet's plant life. His father, Jake Parker, fixed machines and built new structures for the growing colony. They had come to this world 5 years ago, hoping to give their son a better life among the stars. New Haven was home to 3,000 people. Families lived in comfortable houses, children played in safe parks, and everyone worked together to build something beautiful. The colonists grew their own food, made their own power, and traded with nearby alien worlds. Life was good. The boy caught up to the butterfly near the colony's edge. It landed on a purple flower he had never seen before. Danny bent down to look closer, his eyes wide with wonder. He wanted to pick the flower for his mother's research, but she had taught him to be careful with new plants. A loud noise made him look up. Strange ships were coming down from the sky, bigger than anything Danny had ever seen. They were black and silver, with sharp edges that caught the sunlight. The ships moved like metal birds, smooth and silent. Danny forgot about the butterfly. He ran back toward the colony center, where people were gathering to watch the alien visitors land. Mayor Ron Carter stood with other adults, pointing at the ships and talking in worried voices. The ships touched down in the main landing area. They were huge, each one as big as a building. Steam rose from their engines as they cooled. Strange marks covered their sides like writing in an alien language. A ramp came down from the largest ship. Tall figures walked out, and Danny gasped. These aliens looked nothing like the friendly traders who sometimes visited New Haven. They wore dark armor and carried weapons. Their faces were hard and cold, with small black eyes and no expression. Danny's parents found him in the crowd. Lisa pulled her son close while Jake put his hand on the boy's shoulder. Other families did the same, holding their children tight. Of the aliens stepped forward. He was taller than the others, with more decorations on his armor. When he spoke, his voice was loud and harsh. A small machine on his chest turned his words into English. "I am Commander Vex Thralian of the Zephyrian Empire," the alien said. "This world now belongs to us. You humans must leave within 1 day." "Mayor." Carter stepped forward, his hands empty to show he meant no harm. "Welcome to New Haven, Commander. We are peaceful people. Surely we can talk about this. We have families here, children." The commander's black eyes showed no feeling. "Your kind is weak. This planet has minerals we need for our war machine. 1 day, then we will remove you ourselves." "Please," Mayor Carter said. "We have children, homes, lives built here. Can we have more time to prepare?" "You should have thought of that before settling on our world," Commander Thralian replied. "Weakness invites destruction. You are insects before the might of the Zephyrian Empire." Danny listened to the adults argue. He did not understand all the words, but he could tell something bad was happening. The alien soldiers stood like statues, their weapons ready. Fear filled the air like smoke. His father whispered to his mother, "Get Danny inside." "I don't like how this looks." But Danny was curious about the aliens. He had never seen beings from another world before, except for the friendly traders. These Zephyrians looked so different, so powerful. Maybe they were not as mean as they seemed. While the adults talked, Danny slipped away from his parents. He walked slowly toward the alien landing area, staying behind buildings so no one would see him. His heart beat fast with excitement and fear. The boy reached the edge of the landing zone. The alien ships towered above him, dark and strange. Some Zephyrian soldiers stood guard nearby, their armor gleaming in the sunlight. Danny stepped into the open, wanting to get a closer look. He raised his small hand and waved at the nearest soldier, just like his mother had taught him to greet visitors. The Zephyrian soldier saw the movement. In his mind, any sudden motion meant danger. His training said to remove threats before they could act. The soldier did not see a curious child. He saw an enemy approaching. The plasma weapon in the alien's hands hummed to life. Energy gathered in its barrel, glowing bright white. Time seemed to slow as the soldier aimed and fired. The blast hit Danny in the chest. The boy's small body simply disappeared, turned to atoms in an instant. Where he had stood, only empty air remained. Lisa Parker's scream cut through the morning. Like a knife. She had seen everything from across the landing area. Her son, her beautiful boy, was gone. She ran toward the spot where Danny had been, falling to her knees and clawing at the empty ground. Jake Parker roared in rage and pain. He tried to run at the alien soldiers, but other colonists held him back. Tears ran down his face as he fought. Against their hands, Commander Thralian looked at the scene without feeling. "Acceptable casualties," he said to his soldiers. "The human approached our position. We acted properly." Mayor Carter stared in horror. He was just a child, an innocent boy. "There are no innocents in war," the commander replied. "You humans brought this on yourselves by refusing to leave. You now have 12 hours before we destroy this colony from orbit." The Zephyrian soldiers marched back to their ships, leaving the humans to their grief. They did not care about one dead child. To them, humans were nothing more than insects to be crushed, but they had made a terrible mistake. Unknown to the aliens, New Haven's communication system had been recording everything. The quantum transmitters had sent every moment, every word, every image back to Earth in real time. The video of Danny Parker's death reached Earth's communication centers within hours. A small boy waving in friendship, murdered by aliens who called it acceptable. The footage spread across humanity's home world like wildfire. On Earth, billions of people watched Danny die. They saw his parents' grief, heard the alien commanders. Cold words, felt the rage building in their hearts. Something ancient and terrible awakened in humanity's soul. The Zephyrian Empire had killed a human child. They would learn what that meant. The video reached Earth's Global Defense Council at exactly 3:47 p.m., Terra Standard Time. Admiral Kate Morrison was reviewing fleet reports when her aide burst into the room, face white with shock. "Admiral, you need to see this immediately," the young officer said, his hands shaking as he activated the wall display. Kate Morrison had served in 3 wars and seen terrible things. But nothing prepared her for watching 8-year-old Danny Parker wave at alien soldiers, then vanish in a flash of plasma fire. The sound of his mother's screams filled the command center. "Play it again," Morrison ordered, her voice tight with control. She watched Danny die 3 more times, each viewing adding fuel to the fire building inside her chest. When Commander Thralian called it acceptable casualties, Morrison's hands clenched into fists. Within an hour, the footage appeared on every news channel on Earth. Families watched in horror as the innocent boy died. Parents held their own children closer. The rage spread like a disease, infecting every human who saw the murder. Dr. Richard Steele was working in his lab on Mars when the call came. Danny Parker had been his great-nephew, the son of his beloved niece Lisa. When Richard saw the footage, the normally calm scientist destroyed half his laboratory in a fit of pure fury. "They killed him," Richard whispered, staring at his broken equipment. "They killed our boy and called it acceptable." The scientist activated his personal communication link to Earth's global assembly. His message went out to every government leader, every military commander, every human settlement across the solar system. "My family is dead," Richard said, his voice carrying across space. "A child who loved butterflies and flowers is gone because aliens think we are insects. They have made the greatest mistake in galactic history. They have awakened humanity's wrath." The Global Defense Council met in emergency session. Representatives from every nation, every colony, every military force gathered in the Great Hall. For once, politics and old grudges were forgotten. They had one enemy now. President Maria Gonzalez of the American Federation spoke first. "We have all seen the murder of Danny Parker. This cannot stand. This will not stand." Prime Minister Chun Wei of the Asian Alliance nodded grimly. "The boy was one of ours. All human children are our children. The aliens must face justice." Admiral Morrison stood at the center of the assembly. Behind her, images of Danny played on repeat. The boy running through grass, laughing with friends, waving at his killers. "The Zephyrian Empire thinks we are weak," Morrison said. "They see our peaceful colonies and believe we cannot fight back. They are wrong." The Admiral activated a holographic display showing Earth's military assets. Numbers and statistics filled the air, but Morrison focused on the most important fact. "We have kept our true strength hidden for 50 years, she said. "Since the Titan Wars ended, we have built ships and weapons in secret. The galaxy thinks humanity has maybe 50 warships. The truth is different." The display changed, showing hidden shipyards throughout the solar system, bases on asteroids, construction platforms near Jupiter, weapon factories on the dark side of Luna. Earth's military might was 10 times larger than anyone knew. "We have 800 ships ready for battle," Morrison continued. "Another 300 can be completed within weeks. Our technology is not primitive. We have simply chosen to appear weak while we grew strong." The assembly erupted in fierce approval. Decades of careful planning and secret preparation were about to pay off. Humanity had learned from past wars to never show their full strength until the moment came to use it. Captain Alex Stone received his orders while commanding patrol ships near Jupiter. His personal communication device buzzed with a priority message from Fleet Command. When he read the orders, his blood ran cold. Stone had lost his own daughter in the Titan Wars 20 years ago. He understood what it meant to watch a child die. The captain immediately set course for Earth, pushing his ship's engines to maximum speed. At Luna Base, Admiral Morrison gathered her most trusted commanders. The conference room filled with humanity's finest military minds, all united by the same burning need for justice. "Operation Righteous Fury is now active," Morrison announced. "Every available ship, every trained soldier, every weapon we possess will be used to destroy the Zephyrian Empire." Commander Sarah Walsh, head of military intelligence, provided tactical data. "The aliens have 40 ships in the New Haven system. Their nearest reinforcements are 6 days away. If we move fast, we can hit them before they expect retaliation." "How fast can we get there?" Morrison asked. Captain Stone stood up. "Give me 2 days to gather the fleet. We can reach New Haven in 5 days through hyperspace. The aliens won't know we're coming until we drop out of jump space on top of them." The room buzzed with planning. Ship assignments, weapon loads, troop deployments. Every detail was checked and double-checked. This would be humanity's largest military operation since the colonial wars. On New Haven, the colonists refused to leave their homes. Mayor Carter called an emergency meeting in the town hall. 3,000 people packed into the building, their faces grim with determination. "They want us to run," Carter said. "They murdered Danny Parker and expect us to flee in fear." "One say?" We stay and fight. Ben Hayes, the colony's security chief, stood beside the mayor. We have hunting rifles and mining explosives. It's not much against their weapons, but we won't go quietly. Lisa Parker stood up in the crowd. Her eyes were red from crying, but her voice was strong. My son died on this world. I will not abandon the place where he played and laughed. If we must die, we die protecting his memory. The colonists voted to stay and resist. They knew they could not win against the alien ships, but they would make the Zephyrians pay for every building, every street, every life. Jake Parker helped organize the defense. He turned mining robots into bombs, rigged buildings with explosives, and prepared to make the aliens work for their victory. His grief fueled his hands as he built weapons of revenge. Meanwhile, the Zephyrian fleet began bombarding the colonies. Outer settlements. Each explosion sent clouds of smoke into the sky, visible from the main town. Commander Thralian was making good on his promise to destroy everything. But unknown to the aliens, every human death was being recorded and transmitted. To Earth, the galaxy watched as an advanced species murdered helpless colonists. Public opinion turned sharply against the Zephyrian Empire. Other alien races that had suffered under Zephyrian rule began to take notice. The Aquarians of Titan Prime, the insectoid hive minds of Kepler, dozens of oppressed species saw humans fighting back. Hope began to grow in hearts that had known only fear. Dr. Richard Steele worked frantically in his Mars laboratory, developing new weapons designed specifically to kill Zephyrians. His knowledge of alien biology became a tool of war. Every formula, every compound was dedicated to avenging his great-nephew. The scientist created sonic weapons that would shatter Zephyrian bone structure, chemical agents that disrupted their nervous systems, and psychological warfare techniques that exploited their rigid social hierarchy. Science became vengeance. Earth's shipyards worked around the clock. The EDF Retribution, Captain Stone's new flagship, rolled out of Luna Base's construction bay. The massive warship bristled with weapons both conventional and experimental. Its HULL bore an image of Danny Parker's face. Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of her command ship, EDF Vengeance. Through the viewports, she could see the largest fleet in human history assembling. 200 ships of war, each one carrying humanity's rage toward the aliens who had murdered a child. The final preparations were complete. Weapons loaded, crews briefed, courses plotted. In 12 hours, the fleet would jump to hyperspace and begin humanity's crusade for justice. Morrison activated the fleet-wide communication system. Her voice reached every ship, every soldier, every person preparing to fight. We go to war not for conquest, but for justice, she said. A child named Danny Parker died because aliens thought humans were weak. We will show them how wrong they are. We will show the galaxy what happens when you murder our children. The fleet began moving toward the hyperspace jump point. Earth's vengeance was about to be unleashed. The hyperspace jump ended with a flash of blue light. 200 human warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the New Haven system. The massive fleet spread out in perfect formation, like a pack of wolves preparing to hunt. Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of EDF Vengeance, watching the tactical display. Red dots showed 40 Zephyrian ships scattered around the planet. Green dots marked her own vessels, moving into attack positions with deadly precision. All ships report ready for battle, her communications officer announced. Signal the fleet, Morrison ordered. Operation Righteous Fury begins now. Show no mercy. The human ships accelerated toward New Haven, their engines blazing trails of fire across space. Captain Stone's flagship EDF Retribution led the charge, its weapons already powering up for combat. On the planet's surface, Zephyrian sensors detected the approaching fleet. Commander Thralian stood in his command center, studying the readings. With growing alarm, his aide spoke in urgent tones. "Sir, we count over 200 human vessels. This exceeds all intelligence estimates by a factor of 10. Thralian's face remained calm, but his eyes showed worry. "Impossible. Human technology is primitive. Their largest ships are barely armed cargo haulers. Sir, weapons scans show heavy armament on all approaching vessels. These are not cargo ships." The Zephyrian commander activated his fleet communications. "All ships, prepare for battle. The humans have more vessels than expected, but their weapons are still inferior to ours." He was wrong. The first human missiles reached Zephyrian positions 3 minutes after the battle began. Instead of the simple explosives the aliens expected, tungsten penetrator rounds traveling at near light speed punched through their energy shields like paper through water. The Zephyrian destroyer, ZI's Sword of Victory, exploded in a ball of fire as human kinetic weapons tore through its hull. 2 more alien ships died in the opening salvo, their crews never understanding how primitive human weapons could be so deadly. "Impossible," Thralian shouted, watching his ships burn on the tactical display. "Their kinetic weapons should not penetrate our shields." His science officer worked frantically at his station. "Sir, the human projectiles are moving at 97% light speed. Our shields are designed to stop plasma bolts, not solid matter at those velocities." The battle turned into a massacre. Human ships swarmed around the larger Zephyrian vessels like angry insects. Earth's weapons had been designed specifically to counter alien energy defenses. Using physics instead of brute force. Captain Stone's retribution engaged the Zephyrian flagship in single combat. The alien vessel was twice as large, with heavier armor and more powerful weapons. But Stone had been planning this fight for days. "Fire everything," Stone ordered. The Retribution's main guns spoke as one. Tungsten rounds slammed into the enemy ship's hull, followed by nuclear missiles and particle beams. The Zephyrian flagship's shields collapsed under the assault. Commander Thralian felt his ship shaking apart around him. Explosions rocked the bridge as human weapons found their targets. Emergency lights bathed everything in red, and the smell of smoke filled the air. "Sir, hull breach on decks 7 through 12, his damage control officer reported. "Main engines are failing. Weapons offline." "How can this be happening?" Thralian demanded. "We are the superior species. Our technology is advanced beyond their understanding." Another explosion threw him to the floor. When he stood up, human soldiers in black armor were cutting through his bridge doors with plasma torches. The boarding action had begun. Captain Stone led the assault team personally. He wore the combat armor of the Terran Reapers, humanity's elite special forces. His face was hidden behind a black helmet, but his voice carried clearly through the suit's speakers. "Commander Thralian," Stone said as his team secured the bridge, "you are under arrest for the murder of Danny Parker and crimes against humanity." The alien commander looked at the human soldiers in shock. They moved with professional precision, securing weapons and taking prisoners without unnecessary violence. These were not the primitives he had expected. "You cannot do this," Thralian protested. "I am a commander of the Zephyrian Empire. You have no authority over me." Stone's helmet retracted, revealing a scarred face marked by years of war. His eyes were cold as winter. "You murdered a human child. That gives us all the authority we need." The boarding team secured the flagship and took Thralian prisoner. Around them, the space battle was ending as the last Zephyrian ships either surrendered or died in fire. On New Haven surface, the colonists emerged from their shelters to see alien ships falling from the sky. Burning wreckage lit up the horizon. As Zephyrian vessels crashed into the planet's crust, Mayor Carter stood in the town square with tears in his eyes. "Danny," he whispered to the memorial where the boy had died, "justice has come for you, son." Lisa Parker watched the alien ships burn and felt something cold settle in her heart. Her son was still dead, but his killers were paying the price. She activated her personal communicator and sent a message to Admiral Morrison. "This is Dr. Lisa Parker. I volunteer my services to help destroy every Zephyrian who participated in my son's murder." The message reached Morrison on the bridge of her flagship. The Admiral read it twice, then made a decision that would change the course of the war. "Dr. Parker," Morrison replied, "your expertise in xenobiology would be valuable to our cause. Welcome to the fleet." But the battle at New Haven was only the beginning. Admiral Morrison gathered her captains for a strategic meeting while repair crews worked on damaged ships. "We have achieved victory here," Morrison announced. "But intelligence reports show Zephyrian forces throughout this sector. They have oppressed. Dozens of species murdered countless innocents." Commander Walsh presented her analysis. "The Zephyrian Empire controls 17 star systems in this region. Their main fleet base is at Proxima Tertius, 6 days away at maximum speed. What are their total forces?" Captain Stone asked. "Approximately 300 ships, but they're spread across multiple systems. If we move fast, we can defeat them piecemeal before they can concentrate their strength." Admiral Morrison studied the star charts. The Zephyrian Empire was vast, but it was also overextended. Their arrogance had led them to spread their forces thin, confident that no one would dare challenge them. "We continue the offensive," Morrison decided. "This fleet will liberate every world under Zephyrian control. They wanted to learn about human strength. We'll teach them." The human fleet began moving toward their next target, the mining colony of Kepler-7. Intelligence reports indicated heavy Zephyrian presence and rumors of slave labor camps. Dr. Richard Steele joined the fleet aboard the research vessel EDF Discovery. His laboratory was now a weapons development center, focused entirely on creating tools to destroy Zephyrians. The scientist's grief had transformed into cold, calculating hatred. Meanwhile, word of humanity's victory spread throughout the galaxy. Other species under Zephyrian rule began to hope. On Aquarian Prime, the water-dwelling natives watched human news, broadcasts, and dared to dream of freedom. The insectoid hive minds of Kepler whispered among themselves about the species that had destroyed 40 Zephyrian ships without losing a single vessel. Could these humans truly be the liberators they had prayed for? Back on Earth, the Global Defense Council authorized unlimited military production. Every shipyard, every factory, every resource would be devoted to the war effort. Humanity had tasted blood, and they wanted more. The video of Danny Parker's death played on repeat across human space. Each viewing strengthened the resolve of soldiers, workers, and civilians alike. A child's murder had united humanity in ways that politics and diplomacy never could. As the fleet prepared for its next battle, Admiral Morrison received an encrypted message from Earth's High Command. She read it carefully, then smiled for the first time since Danny's death. "Captain Stone," she called. "Change of plans. We're not just liberating Zephyrian colonies. Earth has authorized Operation Total Victory. We're going to destroy their entire empire." The human fleet altered course toward Proxima Tertius, in the heart of Zephyrian power. Behind them, New Haven began rebuilding under the protection of Earth's orbital platforms. The colony would live again, and Danny Parker's memorial would stand as a reminder of the price of innocence. The Zephyrian Empire had learned too late that humans were not the weak species they appeared to be. They had awakened something ancient and terrible, something that would not rest until every alien who had participated in a child's murder faced justice. The galaxy was about to discover what happened when humanity went to war. News of the New Haven massacre spread across the galaxy faster than human warships could travel. In the capital city of Zephyr Prime, Emperor Zixthralian watched battle reports with growing disbelief. His son's entire fleet had been destroyed by supposedly primitive humans. How many of our ships survived? The Emperor asked his military advisor. None, my lord. The humans took no prisoners among our fleet crews. Only your son lived, and he is now their captive. Emperor Thralian's 4. Arms clenched in rage. The Zephyrian Empire had ruled this sector of space for 3 centuries. No inferior species had ever dared challenge them, let alone achieved victory. Mobilize the 3rd and 7th fleets, he ordered. I want every human world burned to ash. These insects will learn what happens when they sting the Zephyrian Empire. But the Emperor's orders came too late. Admiral Morrison's fleet was already moving through Zephyrian space like a wildfire, liberating one system after another. Each victory brought new allies to humanity's cause. Kepler 7. The human fleet found mining camps where alien slaves worked under brutal conditions. Captain Stone led the liberation force personally, his Terran Reapers moving through the prison complex with lethal efficiency. The Aquarian prisoners could barely believe their eyes when human soldiers cut their chains. These water-dwellers had been enslaved for 20 years, forced to work in the toxic mines until they died. You are free, Stone told them through a translator. No one will enslave you again. The grateful Aquarians provided intelligence about other Zephyrian prison worlds. Each piece of information added fuel to humanity's burning desire for justice. The war was no longer just about Danny Parker. It was about every innocent being who had suffered under alien oppression. Dr. Lisa Parker worked in her new laboratory aboard the EDF Vengeance, developing weapons specifically designed to counter Zephyrian physiology. Her grief had transformed into cold scientific precision, each formula calculated to maximize alien suffering. Neural disruptor compound ready for testing, she reported to Admiral Morrison. This agent will cause paralysis in Zephyrian nervous systems while leaving other species unharmed. Morrison nodded grimly. Begin production immediately. Load it into our chemical warheads. The Admiral felt no guilt about these weapons. The aliens had shown no mercy to a human child, so they would receive none in return. War was about more than winning. It was about making the enemy pay for their crimes. Earth's industrial might revealed itself as humanity's greatest weapon. Hidden factories throughout the solar system worked around the clock, producing ships and weapons at an impossible rate. What had taken months to build now rolled off production lines in days. The Luna shipyards launched 50 new vessels in a single week. Each ship bore the image of Danny Parker on its hull, along with the words, "Remember the child," in 20 different languages. Humanity wanted the galaxy to understand why they fought. Dr. Richard Steele's research team made breakthrough discoveries by studying captured Zephyrian technology. The aliens' energy weapons could be turned against them with simple modifications. Their own tools became instruments of their destruction. Meanwhile, the liberated species began joining humanity's crusade. Aquarian pilots flew human ships with deadly skill. Insectoid engineers improved Earth's weapons with their knowledge of Zephyrian weaknesses. The war was becoming something bigger than humanity alone. It was a galactic uprising against oppression, with Earth as the rallying point for every species that had suffered under Zephyrian rule. On the prison world of Titan Beta, human forces found evidence of genocide. Mass graves held the remains of entire alien civilizations that had dared to resist Zephyrian expansion. The discovery sent shockwaves through the galactic community. Captain Stone stood before one of the burial sites, his fists clenched in rage. Thousands of small graves held the bodies of alien children, murdered simply for belonging to the wrong species. "This ends now," Stone said to his officers. No more Zephyrian worlds will be given the chance to surrender. They wanted to play by the rules of total war. We'll show them what that really means. The change in human tactics was immediate and brutal. When Zephyrian colonies refused to surrender, human forces used Dr. Parker's biological weapons without mercy. Entire alien military bases fell silent as neural disruptors paralyzed their crews. Emperor Thralian received reports of human atrocities with growing fear. These supposed primitives were systematically dismantling his empire with weapons his. Scientists could barely understand. How are they doing this? He demanded of his advisors. Their technology was supposed to be centuries behind ours. My lord, it appears humans have been deliberately hiding their capabilities. Our intelligence estimates were completely wrong. The Emperor's Third Fleet arrived at the Proxima system to find it already under human control. Earth's forces had established orbital platforms and begun converting Zephyrian installations to their own use. The speed of their advance defied all military logic. Admiral Morrison coordinated the attack from her flagship, watching as human vessels surrounded the incoming Zephyrian fleet. Her forces now numbered over 400 ships, including vessels, captured from the enemy and converted to Earth's use. Signal the Zephyrian commander, Morrison ordered. Offer him the same terms his people gave Danny Parker. The alien fleet commander received a video message showing the human child's death, followed by Morrison's cold voice. Surrender immediately, or share the fate of the innocent you murdered. The Zephyrian admiral chose to fight. His ships opened fire on the human fleet, their plasma weapons lighting up space with deadly energy. But Earth's forces had learned from every previous battle. Human ships moved in coordinated patterns, using their superior speed and maneuverability to avoid the worst of the alien fire. Return salvos of kinetic weapons and nuclear missiles tore through Zephyrian hulls like paper. The battle lasted only 3 hours. When it ended, the Emperor's Third Fleet was scattered wreckage floating in space. Not a single human ship had been lost. News of the defeat reached Zephyr Prime within days. Emperor Thralian realized with growing horror that his empire was being systematically destroyed by beings he had considered inferior insects. Send peace envoys to the humans, he ordered desperately. Offer them reparations, territory, anything they want. But Earth's response was swift and final. Admiral Morrison's message was broadcast across all channels. There will be no negotiation with child killers. The Zephyrian Empire will fall, and its leaders will face justice for their crimes. The psychological impact was devastating. Other alien species that had considered challenging human expansion suddenly reconsidered. Earth's military might was no longer hidden, and their willingness to use it without mercy was clear. Dr. Lisa Parker developed new weapons almost daily, each one designed to exploit a different Zephyrian weakness. Sonic disruptors that shattered their crystalline bone structure, chemical agents that caused their scales to fall off, psychological warfare that broke their rigid military hierarchy. Her work was driven by pure hatred, fueled by memories of her son's final moments. Every weapon she created was a bullet fired in Danny's name. Every dead alien a small payment toward the impossible debt of a mother's grief. The human fleet continued its advance toward Zephyr Prime, leaving liberated worlds in its wake. Each victory brought new volunteers to Earth's cause, beings who had suffered under alien oppression and now saw a chance for revenge. Captain Stone found himself commanding not just human vessels, but a multinational fleet of former slaves and oppressed peoples. The war had become a crusade, with humanity as the sword of galactic justice. As Earth's forces approached the heart of the Zephyrian Empire, reports reached them of alien worlds surrendering without a fight. The Emperor's authority was crumbling. As subject species rose in rebellion, Admiral Morrison stood on her bridge, watching the tactical display show human dominance across 17 star systems. In less than 6 months, a single child's death had toppled an empire that had ruled for centuries. "Signal the fleet," she ordered. "Next stop, Zephyr Prime. It's time to finish what they started when they murdered Danny Parker." The greatest battle of the war was about to begin. 1 year after Danny Parker's death, the human fleet arrived at Zephyr Prime. Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of EDF Vengeance, looking at the alien homeworld through the viewports. The planet was beautiful, covered in purple oceans and silver cities that sparkled in the light of twin suns. "It's almost too pretty to destroy," Captain Stone said, joining the Admiral at the window. "Beauty doesn't excuse the murder of children," Morrison replied coldly. "Signal all ships. Begin the siege." 500 human vessels surrounded Zephyr Prime in a perfect sphere of death. The largest armada in galactic history held the Zephyrian homeworld in an iron grip. There would be no escape for Emperor Thralian and his war criminals. The planet's defense satellites opened fire first, sending streams of plasma into space. Human ships absorbed the attacks on their heavy armor, then responded with tungsten penetrator, rounds that turned the satellites into glowing debris. Emperor Thralian watched from his palace as the sky filled with burning metal. His home world's defenses, built over centuries, were being destroyed in hours by alien weapons he still didn't fully understand. "My lord," his aide said nervously, "the humans are broadcasting a message for you." Admiral Morrison's face appeared on every screen across Zephyr Prime. Her voice was calm, but carried the weight of absolute authority. "Emperor Thralian, you are responsible for the murder of Danny Parker and countless other innocents. Surrender yourself for trial, or watch your world burn." The Emperor's 4 arms shook with rage. "I will not bow to inferior species. Activate the planetary defense grid." Hidden weapon platforms rose from beneath Zephyr Prime's surface, each one capable of destroying a starship with a single shot. The Emperor smiled coldly as hundreds of massive guns pointed toward the human fleet, but Earth's forces were ready. Dr. Lisa Parker's latest creation, viral computer programs designed specifically for Zephyrian technology, had been secretly transmitted to the planet days earlier. When the defense platforms tried to fire, their targeting systems turned against them. The planetary weapons began destroying each other in a cascade of explosions. Automated systems, corrupted by human cyber warfare, identified other Zephyrian installations as enemy targets. "Impossible!" Thralian screamed as his planet's defenses committed suicide. "How are they doing this?" Dr. Richard Steele's voice answered him from the human fleet. The scientist had been monitoring Zephyrian communications, and his message cut through their encrypted channels like a knife. "We learned from your mistakes, Emperor. You showed us no mercy, so we studied your weaknesses. Every weapon you built, every defense you created, we found ways to turn against you." The siege of Zephyr Prime lasted 7 days. Human forces systematically destroyed military targets while carefully avoiding civilian areas. This was not genocide. It was precision justice aimed at those responsible for Danny's death. On the 3rd day, Terran Reaper teams began landing on the planet's surface. These elite soldiers moved through Zephyrian cities like ghosts, hunting down war criminals and military leaders with ruthless efficiency. Captain Stone led the assault on the Imperial Palace personally. His black armor was scarred from a dozen battles, and his weapons had tasted Zephyrian blood across 17 star systems. The palace guards fought bravely but uselessly. Human sonic weapons shattered their crystalline bones, while neural disruptors left them paralyzed on the marble floors. Stone's team moved deeper into the building, following the path to Emperor Thralian's throne room. The final confrontation was almost anticlimactic. Thralian sat on his jeweled throne, surrounded by the bodies of his loyal guards. The emperor who had once ruled hundreds of worlds now commanded only empty rooms and broken dreams. So, the insects finally reached their target, Thralian said bitterly. As human soldiers secured the throne room, Stone removed his helmet, revealing a face marked by grief and determination. You killed a human child. Did you think there would be no consequences? One child among billions, the emperor replied. What does it matter? It matters because he was ours, Stone answered simply, and because we never forget. The trial of Emperor Thralian became the most watched event in galactic history. Representatives from dozens of species came to Earth to witness justice being served. The courtroom was filled with beings who had suffered under Zephyrian rule. Dr. Lisa Parker took the witness stand to testify about her son's murder. Her voice was steady as she described Danny's final moments, but tears ran down her face as she spoke. He was 8 years old, she said. He loved butterflies and flowers. He waved at your soldiers because we taught him to be friendly to visitors. Your people killed him for being curious. The emperor showed no emotion as evidence mounted against him. Video recordings of massacres, documents ordering genocide, testimony from survivors. The weight of evidence was overwhelming. When the verdict came, no one was surprised. Emperor Thralian and his surviving commanders were sentenced to life imprisonment on Earth's maximum security prison colony. They would spend their remaining years understanding exactly what human justice meant. The liberated territories formed new governments with human protection guarantees. Earth's technology and industrial support helped devastated worlds rebuild, but always with the understanding that humanity's patience had limits. Jake and Lisa Parker established the Danny Parker Foundation for Galactic Child Protection. The organization was funded by reparations from the former Zephyrian Empire and dedicated to ensuring no child, human or alien, would suffer their son's fate. Admiral Morrison retired from active duty to become Earth's first galactic defense coordinator. Her job was to oversee humanity's expanding role as protector of peaceful species throughout the galaxy. Dr. Richard Steele continued his research, but now his work focused on healing rather than destruction. The weapons he had created in grief were sealed away, replaced by medical technologies that benefited all allied species. The Kepler Defense Coalition was established with headquarters on New Haven, orbiting the Memorial Garden where Danny Parker had played his final games. Representatives from 47 species signed the founding charter, creating a galactic alliance dedicated to preventing future genocides. 5 years after the war's end, a ceremony was held to dedicate the Danny Parker Memorial. The small garden, where a child had once chased butterflies, was now the heart of a galactic civilization, built on the principle that innocence must be protected. Delegates from across the galaxy gathered for the dedication. Aquarians from the water worlds, insectoid hive minds from Kepler, crystalline beings from the Andromeda frontier, all species that owed their freedom to one boy's death. Jake Parker, now an old man with silver hair, spoke the memorial's final words. His voice carried across the crowd and through quantum transmitters to every human world. Danny dreamed of touching the stars, he said, looking up at the monument bearing his son's image. Instead, he gave us the strength to remake them in his image, a galaxy where children can play safely under any sun. The ceremony ended with a moment of silence for all the innocents lost in war. Then, as if summoned by memory, a small blue butterfly landed on Danny's memorial stone. Earth's newest exploration fleet launched that same day, carrying humanity's dual promise toward uncharted space: friendship to those who sought peace, and absolute destruction to any who would harm the innocent. The galaxy had learned what happened when humans went to war for their children. It was a lesson that would never be forgotten. In the Memorial Garden, the butterfly spread its wings and flew toward the stars. As if carrying a small boy's dreams, to distant worlds where other children played in safety. Danny Parker was gone, but his legacy lived on in every peaceful sunrise across 100 worlds. The Zephyrian Empire was dust and memory. Humanity's vengeance was complete, and the galaxy was finally safe for children to chase butterflies without fear.